Let me also add this, I can tell you another thing that we're concerned about. Not only in the future, in fact, in the future, I'm not worried about whether I'm going to grow too fast, 5 to 10% for the next 30 years. Because if that is going to be the case, we'll have a happy problem of whether we'll slow down. In fact, my concern, speaking from the labor movement, is that the world of the future is going to be a very difficult one, very hard one. Recently, India and China signed the economic collaboration agreement. And if you look at what they talk about, it's actually quite scary. India, supposedly strong in raw material, semi-finished goods. China, very strong in finished product. So China and India say, look, between the two of us, we can complete the value chain. India provide raw material, semi-finished goods. China complete the production, finished goods. So there's a one, they want to collaborate. Secondly, India said that China, you are very good in car industry. I also want to go to car industry. China said, India, you are very good in computer software, computer and so on. I also want to go to India. So now China and India, not only want to collaborate, you also want to compete. So you look at the world of the future, in fact, my sense is that more and more economies are going to try to move towards the top right border. High growth, low unemployment. Ma Ying-jeou already did so. If he is elected president of Taiwan, his aim is to grow Taiwan economy by 6% a year and to reduce unemployment to less than 3%. If he achieves that, he will get a top right border. The new president of South Korea has a 747 strategy. First 7, grow the economy at 7%. 4, to double the per capita income to $40,000 US. And the 7 is to transform South Korea from the number 13 economy of the world today to the 7th largest in the world. So in other words, everybody is all moving towards the top right, aiming to go towards the top right. So I would say that whether the question to me is not on whether is it desirable for Singapore to keep staying the top right for the next 20, 30 years. I think the question for me is more, will we be able to keep remaining competitive, keep breaking the bottleneck, and to remain the top right, both not just the pro-business way, but equally, if not more important, is in a pro-local way as well. Follow on from what Swissy has said. The story of Singapore is set against a much larger drama, that of a resurgent Asia. And it is a huge drama. We're talking about half the world's population joining the global marketplace after the Cold War. And in the coming decades, there will be a constellation of cities of the future sprouting out all over Asia, feeding off the growth. And each, like Delhi or Mumbai or Shanghai, we have enormous hinterlands, drawing talent, resources, opportunities. We should try to ensure that Singapore is part of that constellation of cities in this century. And I think we can achieve that status. But to do that, what Swissy said earlier, that there is an organic dynamic to growth. When a child is growing, you feel it. One day it will stop growing. And one day there will be other problems. But when it is growing, don't stand it. If we're part of a larger country, it may not matter because you can nucleate at some other point. Or if you're riddled with all kinds of constraints and rent control and so on, you develop suburbs. Yes, we should still try to develop the hinterland beyond Singapore, the southern peninsula, the islands around us. But there are political difficulties. We will try, and we may not succeed fully. But as much as we can, we should remove the constraints within Singapore. It is not that we are targeting 6.5 million or 7 million. What we are saying is it possible that we may need that many people if we do not want to age too much, or we need suddenly to tap upon new sources of growth? So we check all kinds of constraints: shoreline for the port, runways for China, water resources,
car park space, road space. So our departments, they test all the limits and say, we push that. How far can we go before we become non-linear and the cost becomes too much to bear? And as far as we can contrive it now, do not put artificial constraints on ourselves so that we retain maximum flexibility for us to grow, for the opportunity to grow comes to us. Take Singapore today. I think one of us in different sectors of the economy could feel a strong surge, a strong vitality. Will it last? For sure it will not last. But we hope it will last for as long as possible. And while it lasts, let us move. That must be our thinking, that must be our organizing philosophy.
Next question, and by the way, those who want to ask this question, please come to the mic and I'll recognize you after this. Please go ahead.
Singapore Institute of International Affairs. My question is, this morning we heard Eva Sewell mention good governance as an important component from the next decade of growth for what Singapore should have. And we also hear that present success is not guaranteed future success. So my question to the ministers is, how do we ensure good governance will continue in Singapore?
Good question. How do we ensure that good governance will continue in Singapore?
Good governance.
I think one way we can ensure is by making sure that all four of them stay in cabinet for the next 20 years.
Vote wisely.
And Minister Yaakov's answer is vote PAP.
Maybe can I just when I was ED, so we talked to companies, and everywhere we went, the slogan was, especially in China, the slogan is 不怕做不到，只怕想不到. Meaning that they are not afraid in the private sector, in the business world, they are not afraid, yet they are not able to deliver. What they are afraid of is that they are not able to think of good ideas, creative ideas, competitive ideas ahead of the competition. And after a while, it got me thinking that the public work, I joined the government politics about 10 years now. And interestingly, the conclusion I've drawn is that for the government, it's exactly the opposite. For the government of the world, it's very easy to think of what is needed, what are good public policy. What is a good policy to keep the economy competitive? What are good policy to keep the society cohesive? What are good policy to keep the environment sustainable? Actually, it's very easy. Every day newspaper, all the speeches by all governments in the world, all talk about all these. So every government 想得到. But the difference, the issue is actually many governments 想得到的做不到. They can think of all the right thing they need to do, but they're not able to do it on the ground. So therefore, I think the question about how do we ensure good governance, I would put it this way. I think we need to have good people in the government, seriously, good people. Because without good people, we're not going to have a political leadership who is able to, who is prepared to take tough measures. Things like what Kokomo is doing to meet testing and so on. These are tough, right? Many countries can think of new testing, 想得到做不到. But Kokomo 想得到做得到. They talk about mean testing, but they're not able to carry the ground to implement mean testing. But in Singapore, Kokomo can do it, able to do it, or in the process of doing it. They talk about environmental issue, Yaakob is doing that, trying to sustain. So we need to have good leaders in government, but having good leaders in government is not good enough. We also need to have good leaders in the private sector, in the community. So in other words, over time, we'll evolve more towards a 3P ownership, not just 3P partnership. Today we talk about 3P partnership, government, public sector, private sector, people sector, the 3P.